It's easier for me to see you guys because you're a little closer. So welcome. Sit up straight. Take your fingertips behind, press down with your hands, lengthen up through your sideways side chest. Move your arm bones back to bring your shoulder blades into your back. Rest your palms on your thighs and close your eyes. Descend your thighs. With even and equal weight, your two sitting bones lengthen up through the front of your body. Turn your upper arms out. And as you turn your upper arms out, that will bring your shoulder blades into your back. And as you bring your shoulder blades into your back, that will lift your chest. Soften your neck and throat. Release your jaw. Rest your tongue into the base of your mouth. Take slow, even breaths. And then gently open your eyes. Stretch your legs out. And then come over to child's pose. So big toes together, knees apart. Let's see if I can look from here. Press your palms down into the floor. Use that to push your hips back. Turn your upper arms out. Soften the grip in your inner thighs. You can do that by bringing the lower abdomen in. Then come up to your hands and knees. Tuck your toes under. Lift your hips high. Come into Anga Svanasana. Now we're facing up. Press your palms. From the pressure downward of your palms, grow taller and taller in your arms.
Bring the pressure downward in your palms, grow longer and longer in your torso. And then to take your heels back, move your thighs further and further back. Relax your neck. Relax your jaw. Come forward to plank. Lift your thighs. Press your palms into the floor. As you press your palms into the floor, that will round your back a little bit. And push back to Ardha Svanasana, downward facing dog. And then bend your knees, come into child's pose. All right, for the next one, place your elbows on the floor and under your shoulders. Interlock your fingers. If you interlock them the same way you always do, change the interlock. Press your forearms into the floor. Tuck your toes underneath and come into downward facing puppy. So as you press your forearms into the floor, the same length should come in your arms. And the same length should come in the sides of your torso. As you move your thighs back, you can use that to move your heels back. Now again, come into plank, but this time you probably have to walk your feet back. Press your forearms down, and as you press your forearms down, there's rounding in the area between the shoulders. And then you come down. Try that a different way. All right, so you can sit in Virasana or Vajrasana or whatever is comfortable. And we're going to do Garudasana arms. All right, so take your arms out. Bring your arms forward. Take your right arm underneath your left and wrap your arms around each other. Now, as you press your elbows towards each other, this should round your upper back and give you a little stretch between your shoulder blades. And then move your elbows forward toward your camera or towards your wall that you're facing. And when you do that, that should round them even more. Then release the arms and switch sides. So now the left elbow is underneath the right. Press your elbows in towards each other, so even if they don't join, you can still press your elbows in towards each other. And then you're moving your whole arm forward to move your elbows forward. And that creates a rounding in the upper back. Then release your arms. Rotate your shoulders a few times. And then pick whichever plank you wish to do. So if you're doing one on the wrist, you're going to do that one or elbows down. But we're going to come up into downward facing dog and do that pressing arms down again. All right. So press the hands down to get length. And then come forward to plank and press the hands down. Oh, sorry, I'm off camera. Press the hands down to get that round in the upper back. And back to downward facing dog. And then walk your hands and your feet towards each other for Uttanasana, forward fold. If you can't reach the floor, you can put your hands on your shins, or you can interlock the elbows and hang forward. Resist the urge to lean back. So make sure there's weight on the balls of the feet that's even with the heels. Place your hands on your hips. Inhale, come all the way up. All right. So we're gonna do Malasana. So you can take a blanket and it can be any height. You can be rolled is good, but folded is fine. And you're gonna place your heels on the blanket so that the toes are on the floor, the heels are on the blanket. Face forward. All right, legs together. Now bend your knees and squat down. You can have a pair of blocks to help you get up and down if you need it. Like here. All right. You can hold onto your knees. Actually, that's good because it pulls your inner thighs in and helps you get into the pose a little more. All right. Now press down with the big toe side of the foot. Then take your knees apart. If you place your hands on the floor, do so. If you can't place your hands on the floor, you can have some blocks, or you might need to raise your heels some. So have another blanket or something like that. Descend your hips, press down with the big toe side of the foot, and when you press down with the big toe side of the foot, that brings the knees in slightly. And walk your hands forward. See if you can fit the sides of your torso through your legs. Maybe even place your elbows on the floor. I need longer elbows. All right, bring your knees together. Stand back up. Right, now try it without the blanket. And if your heels come up, your heels come up. All right? See if you can keep your heels down. If you can't, if this is extremely difficult for you, take your feet wider apart. So if this just does not work for your ankles or your feet, taking your feet apart makes it easier for that portion. All right, bend your knees. Hug them in again. See if you can get your heels down here. If you can't get your heels down here, they're not going to get down when you take your knees apart, I don't think. All right, then take your knees apart. Walk your hands forward, moving your torso between your hands. Between your knees. Then move your hands back so that your armpits are near your knee or on the inside of your knee, and press your arms into your knee and your knee into your arms. And then stand back up. Okay. Now you have to lie on your back and do happy baby pose. So you lie on your back and you'll hold the outside of your right leg and pull it down towards the floor. And I'm not going to be concerned what your left leg is doing at this point. See if you can keep the knee and armpit close together. So the knee doesn't go out to the side, it's right in close to the body. Now, whether the knee is above the arm or below the arm depends on your proportions. So for somebody that's long torso and short limbed like me, the knee easily fits under the arm. But for somebody with a longer limbs, it may not be so easy. All right, the foot should face the ceiling. All right. Okay, switch sides. I'll bring the other leg again. Bring it down. Try to get it down towards the floor. Then release that side. And then lift both legs up. Hold on to the outsides of both feet. And bring both knees down towards the floor. Feet facing the ceiling. Then, like you were before, join the feet together and bring the knees down. So this is similar to what you just did in Malasana. You're trying to get your torso either side of your knees. So it's just like Malasana, the feet are together. Let's see if I can show this from a different angle. Like this. And then you can move your heels down toward your hips, so you're even closer to Malasana. All right. From there, you want to keep your knees and your feet where they are and release your arms. So press your arms towards the ceiling, towards kind of in between the wall and the ceiling. So you're going towards your feet. Then squeeze your knees in towards your arms. Relax back down. We can just stay the rest of the class like this, I think. No. Okay. So, some of you will know what's coming. Basically, we just did this pose lying down, and now we'll do it the other way around. So this is Bakasana crow pose. A little bit away from the wall. All right, so you can use blocks in different ways. A lot of it depends on your limbs. So the way most people find useful is to put their feet on blocks and then to have a stack of blankets or a bolster in front of them, like this. So I'll show and then you can do. So I put my feet on the blocks and I squat down. And this time it doesn't matter if my heels come up. And I get my arms underneath my knees like this. So I lean in, push out, lean in, push out. And you want to begin with this pose, if this is new to you, you want your hands wide. And then I'm gonna look forward and come onto my toes. You're gonna keep looking forward as I lift the leg up. And then possibly lift both legs up. So let's see if that happens. The stack of blankets is for if you stop looking forward. All right. So if you, for some reason, because you're human or something like that, you start to look down at your hands, you'll go that way. All right. But you have a stack of blankets or a bolster, it doesn't hurt. All right, so squat down. You can use a block or not. And see if you can get your knees either side of your armpits. Take your hands wide if this is more difficult for you, like this. Elbows a little bent. Get down in there. All right, now look forward. Then come onto your toes and lean forward. Pick up one foot, possibly the other foot. Or maybe the left foot works better. Bakasana, crow pose, crane pose. Sometimes it's called crane. All right. Now the main trick is to get your legs as high up as possible. There is, okay, so let me show something. And this block actually makes this worse. There is, let me see if I can, okay. So one of the ways that this is learned is to lift the hips high. I can't remember how to do this. And that will make the pose easier. But when you get more adept, you want that. So I talked about earlier about pressing the hands down to round the lower back, the upper back. So you want it like that. You want to push the hands down so that the shins eventually come to parallel and it's very flat pose. So try it again with or without blocks. So sometimes if the hips are really high, it's a little easier, but you want the hip, eventually you'll have the hips low. So try one more time and then we'll move on to something else. Yeah. Even a second is success, right? Yeah. So Julia, try to press your hands down more to really round that upper back and lower your hips. So that's the second stage. The blocks don't help everyone, Kathy. I've never found them actually very useful. All right. Okay. That's good enough for today. Stand up for standing poses. That was loud. Sorry. So we're going to do some standing poses, a few balanced standing poses.
So in Tadasana, spread your toes, turn your upper arms out. Roll your thighs in. Bend your knees. Lift your right leg, take it over your left leg. If you can wrap it all the way around, then do that. You can use a wall to the side or a wall behind. Now, to roll your thighs inward, it's easier in this pose. So as you sink your hips, the thighs roll in. If you roll your thighs out, the hips come in. So this pose is easy to access that, although it's hard to balance and do that. In, out. All right. Find the balance here. All right. Then if your balance is going well, take your arms up, take your right arm underneath your left, and squeeze your arms together, squeeze your legs together. Come into Garudasana, eagle pose. All right. Release your arms, stand back up, come back to Tadasana. Now you know what's coming. Bend your knees. Lift your left leg, wrap it high up on the right, wrap it all the way around. If you can, I can't. And try to roll the thighs in, roll the thighs out, roll the thighs in, roll the thighs out. Take your arms up. Take your left arm underneath your right. Squeeze your arms together, squeeze your legs together. Then release your arms, release your legs. Back to Tadasana. Yeah, you can do a little sticky man dance. All right, take your arms in front, take your arms and legs wide. Turn to the right. Take your right hand down, Trikonasana. Roll your right thigh out. Actually, roll both thighs out. But keep pressure on the big toe side of each leg. Place your left hand on your hip. Take your elbow back, roll your shoulder back. In fact, you can reach your left arm around and grab, well, I can't reach my thigh. Okay, maybe I can reach my thigh. But if you can't reach your thigh, grab your pants. I think I'm the only one in shorts. Oh no, okay, it's in shorts. Gills and shorts, I can't remember. So, yeah. So hold on there. Roll your shoulder back. So this reminds your thigh to turn out and your shoulder to roll back. Then, see if you can keep your hand behind your back. Bend your front leg. Step your left leg in. Take your right hand forward. I'm going to put my leg back. There we go. Roll your right thigh up. Lift your chest. So your hand's still behind your back. Press down with your right leg. Lift your left leg off the floor. You can use a wall to your back if you need to. And then slowly straighten your right leg. Roll your chest towards the ceiling. And then when you're stable in the pose, release your left arm and lift it up. Or not. Well, there you go. Then take your left arm behind your back again. Bend your front leg, step back with your left leg. Back into Utthita Trikonasana. Lift your left arm up. Press through your left leg, inhale, come up. Go to the other side. Turn your left leg out. Pick your left hand down. Roll both sides out. Now take your right hand around behind, first to your hip, roll your shoulder back. Then if that's going well, you can take your hand around behind and reach for your pants or your leg. If you can reach your thigh, reach your thigh. Has to do with shoulder tightness, arm length, all kinds of things. Rotate your chest. Then bend your left leg, step your right leg in. Take your hand forward. This would be your left. Then keeping your right leg straight, press down with your left heel and lift your right leg up for Ardha Chandrasana. Rotate your chest, then straighten your left leg, rotate your chest some more. And if you want to release that arm, take it all the way up. Now take your arm behind your back. Bend your left leg, step back with your right leg, come back into Utthita Trikonasana. Lift your right arm up. Press through your feet, come back up to standing. Step your feet together. Or jump, yes. Roll your shoulders back, lift your chest. Take your arms and legs wide. Turn to your right. So turn your left hip around. For some reason, I was just completely blanking on everything. Turn your left hip around. So you're facing the left side of your mat. Bring both hands onto your hips. Keep both legs straight. Roll your shoulders back. So you should be facing your right foot. Yes. Elbows back, lift your chest. Exhale, fold forward. Bring your fingertips to the floor or go grab your block. So now the thighs no longer turn out. So that's something to think about when doing these poses is if we turn more, like in the open poses like Trikonasana, Parshvakonasana, Ardha Chandrasana, those the thighs turn out. Here they almost turn inward, but they're actually not turned in. Straighten both your legs, especially the front one, if you're wearing a pink shirt. There's only one person wearing a pink shirt, so you know, I wasn't trying to. That's why my teacher teaches, and everyone has to like look down at their shirt and say. All right, keep your left hand on the block, take your right hand to your hip, and rotate your chest. So you're in Parivrtta Trikonasana. Then turn back down toward your right leg. Place your hands on your hips, inhale, come up. Now if you use blocks, you're going to turn them to the other side. Then turn your left leg out, turn your right leg in. Face the short side of your mat. Elbows back, two straight legs.
Exhale, fold forward, come into Parshvottanasana. Parshvottanasana, sorry. Better on this side, Patty. So the first thing you have to do is have 2 straight legs. Then you want to level your hips. Now, when we were doing classes in person, I would come around and level your hips for you. But now you have to figure out how to do it on your own. And one thing Devin taught me was that if your abdomen is level to the ground, then your hips are going to be level to the ground. Now that may or may not help you, but yeah, so something to think about. All right, now keep your right hand on the brick or the floor. Take your left hand to your hip and rotate your chest. Then turn back toward your front foot, 2 hands on your hips, inhale, come up, and turn your feet forward, step your feet together.
Mary, what's the acronym?
Wait, sorry, what's that?
What did you say had to be level to the floor?
The hips.
The hip sockets or the?
Oh, the sacrum actually is, let's see if I can show. This will be a nice view. Let's see. Okay. In this one, my front leg hip is down, my back leg hip is up. And this one is the opposite. So if you find, I mean, you can do it like, you don't mind looking at your rear end. You can do it so that you can turn your buttocks to the camera and see if you're, you know, level. But most people, I think, have the, let's see, which one is less stretchy? Yes, most people have the front hip down, more like this. More flexible people tend to do this because they're trying to get more of a stretch. But if you think of, there we go. If your brick was level, that would be what you would want. All right, so we'll do it again. Okay, so this time you can have, we'll just step into it. So you can step your right foot forward and your left foot back like this. And then turn your hips towards the small edge of the mat. Keep both legs straight, fold forward. Now, if you take your right hip forward, that drops your left hip. If you take your right hip too far back, that actually ends up raising your left hip. But what it looks like is that your right hip is dropped. So you can play with moving your hips back and forth and see if you can feel where level is. Another way to do it is feel like you're being pulled back from both the hips. And sometimes that will levelize your hips. Now in Parivrita Trikonasana, which is where we're going, the hips are no longer level, not completely. But we start from an area of level and then we give a little fudge. So keep your left hand on the floor, take your right hand to your hip and turn. Now reach your right hand behind and see if you can grab your shorts and turn some more, or your pants. Or if you're next to a wall, push into the wall. Turn some more. Then bring your right hand down. Take your hands on your hips, come back up. Switch your legs over. Left foot forward, right foot back. Fold forward. Straighten both your legs. Oh, we're not going into the turn yet. So 2 hands on the ground. Yeah, there we go. Okay. And then now you can move it's almost like you're moving the back hip, right? The hips forward and back to see where level is. And you can move them around quite a wide, I mean, especially if you're flexible, quite a varied or extreme. But if you think of trying to get you can place your hand on your back and see if it feels level. That doesn't work for me, but that works for some people. Yeah, you can place a brick there. If you really want to like challenge yourself, you can place a glass of water there. All right, now keep your right hand on the floor. Take your left hand on your hip and turn. So now we're in Kavarita. And then reach your left hand around and grab your pants and roll your shoulder back. Then bring your left hand back to the floor. Both hands on your hips. Inhale, come up. Step your feet back. Come back to Tadasana. All right, so just watch for a minute. So we're going to come from here. We were just here, right? Where we had, this is Parivrtta Trikonasana, revolved triangle, where the hand was behind the back. All right. And now we're going into revolved half moon, Parivrtta Ardha Chandrasana. So I'm going to bend the front leg, take the block forward, and then with the front leg bent, I'm going to lift the straight leg, the back leg, and rotate my chest by pulling. And then finally, I'm going to straighten the front leg. All right, and then reverse to come out. All right. This is easier to balance than regular Ardha Chandrasana. So use that information how you will. All right, so step your right foot forward, your left foot back, turn your hips to the small side of the mat. So now you can go with me. Take your hands down in Parsvottanasana. And then turn your chest to the right. Take your left hand on your hip and then reach around and grab your shorts or your pants. Then keep this turn of the chest, bend your front leg, take your left hand forward. Let's see. And then, let's see. Gilroy, are you turned? Switch hands, I think. Gilroy. Can't remember your first name. So. No, don't switch feet, just switch hands. Yes. Yes, like that. And then turn towards that, the door wall. Yes. All right. So, yeah, and then step in and see if you can balance and Parivrtta. Like this. All right, so most of you are already up. If you're not already up, go ahead and come up. Or if you've been up for a while and you're tired. Yeah, so Julia, first get the turn, get more turn rather than lifting the arm up. In fact, externally rotate your bottom arm. I think that one is your left. Yeah. Excellent, everyone. Mr. Gilroy, that looks great. Okay, coming back down. Hands on your hips, come back up, switch sides. And then turn over so I can see the other side. Left foot forward, right foot back, bend forward. Take your left arm around behind your back. I might have said it wrong the last time, I guess. So you're in a twist. Yes, excellent. Turn your chest. Bend your front leg. That would be your left. Take your right hand forward. You can step your right leg in, or left leg in, sorry. Turn your chest some more. Then, keeping your right leg straight, lift it off the floor. You don't have to worry about the left leg yet. And then turn your chest. Then straighten your left leg. Then once you've got as much turn as you're going to get, you can lift your left arm up. Keep the floating leg high. Yeah. Then reach around, grab your pants, bend your front leg, step back with your back leg, back into Parivrtta Trikonasana. Then two hands to the ground, hands on your hips, come all the way up. Step your feet together. All right. Take your feet wide apart for Prasarna Padottanasana. Press your heels down, lift your chest. Exhale, fold forward, bring your hands to the floor. If your hands won't reach the floor, get a couple blocks. And then walk your hands back and lower your head towards the floor. All right, walk your hands forward, lift your chest. Place your hands on your hips and come all the way back up. Step your feet together. Take a block on its back. You may need a blanket. You have a blanket nearby. And then you're going to place this block so it hits your shoulder blades and your back ribs and lie back. Now the arms can be down to the sides. I tend to like my arms over my head. And then if you need the blanket for your neck, you can fold the blanket to whatever height you need. All right, let's try that. Yeah, if you have open shoulders, then chances are you're going to like your arms over your head a little more. Or if you just want to stretch your shoulders now. Press your thighs down. Have your feet joined, big toe to big toe. Or actually bunion to bunion is probably more accurate. If you feel like this isn't enough, you can change the height of the block under your shoulders. There are 3 heights to each block. You may need to change the block under your head though, if you change, or put another block under your head if you change the height or the shoulder block. Press your thighs down. Press the backs of your knees down. Spread your toes. Then bring your hands by your hips. Inhale, lift yourself back up. And sit on your heels. Sorry. So you can have blocks either side of your heels, or a couple blankets or a bolster on your heels, Ustrasana. Can't do that today. All right. So if you can sit down on that, then go ahead. My ankle won't handle it today. All right. Place your hands on your hips. Roll your shoulders back, lift your chest. Press your shins down, lift your chest some more. Reach back with both arms. Place your hands on the support, on your heels. Press down with your hands, lift your chest some more. The feet don't have to be together. That makes it actually a lot harder. Yeah, it can be hip width apart. And come back up. We're going to do a couple of these. Press your shins down. Take your hands to your hips, roll your shoulders back. Press your hips down, lift your chest. For the second one, tuck your chin in towards your chest like you're doing shoulders down. And then bring your chest up to your chin. Reach back. Find that support. You can even use a chair or a bed or a couch. Then press your chins down, lift yourself back up. You can sit down on your support, which I can't do very well. All right. Now, if that's going well, you're going to take away some of that support. Still pressing your chins down. Take your hands to your hips, lift your chest. Tuck your chin in, push your hips down, lift your chest some more. Reach back, use whatever support you need. As you press your shins down, that should lift your chest more and more. As you press your arms into the support, it should lift your chest more and more. Then press your shins down again, come back up. All right. Now, if that feels comfortable and you can really get left in your chest, I'll show you the way to take your head back. So you imagine that you're pulling your chin in to give yourself extra chins. And then when you take it back, that's easier for some people. Some people it's easier just to take the head back. So this time we'll do it again and we'll take the head back. Or not, your choice. Press your shins down, lift your chest. Press your hips down, lift your chest some more. You can do the tuck chin method, bring your hands to the support, and then tucking the chin in, taking it back. Inhale, come back up. All right, last one. Hands on your hips, elbows back, lift up. Move the backs of your thighs forward, reach back, and take your head back. Press your arms down to lift your chest. Press your legs down to lift yourself back up. All right. Now the next one should just be a piece of cake. Chaturpadasana. Lie on your back with your heels in close to your hips. Press your upper arms into the floor and point your fingers towards the ceiling. Like a tin soldier, I guess. I don't know. And then, as you press your upper arms down, lift your hips. Roll your shoulders under. Press your heels down, lift your hips some more. See how much of the hamstrings you can lift up. Make sure there's pressure on the big toe side of your foot so your knees aren't going wide. It's hard to see in this pose. You could always use a block, but you could also just think of, like, see if you can try your proprioception and see how good it is. And come back down. This time we'll do it again. You can either grab your ankles or interlock your hands behind your back. Like this. Or for me to grab my ankles, it looks a little silly. Like this. So coming up again, Chaturpadasana. Roll your shoulders under. Press down with big toe side of your feet. Oh, I'm coming up. I'm just looking. I have to see Sopo's dog, you know. So, all right. And then lower your hips back down. All right. So you're going to either do that again with a block under the hips or a shoulder stand. So whatever setup you wish. So either this or Sarvagasana. Sarvagasana, shoulder stand, couple blankets. Or a block under the hips. What happened to my blanket? If you ever have workshops again, you go to workshops. One way of getting out of really long shoulder stands is taking a lot of time setting up. It's also helps to know which teachers have very long shoulder stands. So whatever position you're in, you will roll your shoulders under. And some people say they have the base of your neck at the edge, and some people say to have the top of your neck on the edge of the blanket pile. But I really think it's a personal preference. Like, it depends where it feels best for you. You don't want your neck to be strained and shoulders down. I mean, there might be a slight stretch, but nothing strenuous. Nothing that you feel an hour later. So no matter what position you're in, you're still going to have that grip of the backs of the thighs to, well, it moves the hips in different ways, different directions, just because you're in a different direction. But grip the backs of the thighs, move your hips either up or forward. And then if you're in shoulder stand, take your heels back when you do that. Soften the neck and throat in both positions. Press the upper arms down in both positions. If you're in Uttanasana with a brick, see that there's still weight on the big toe side of your foot, and your legs aren't turning out. If you're in shoulder stand, you can look at your feet and see what they do. You can join the base of the big toe, also known as the bunion, and spread the other toes away. Keep the hamstrings gripped. Keep your quadriceps gripped if your legs are straight. Remember to press the upper arms down, rolling the shoulders under. You might have to adjust every 30 seconds or a minute or so, as gravity takes over. And these poses with longer holds, like shoulder stand, or supported poses like Siddha with a brick, Siddha with a brick, Padasana with a brick, bridge with a brick. They're all the same pose, pretty much. Some people will say Siddha has the legs straight, but anyway. With these longer, as a digression, which is actually appropriate for what I was going to talk about, which is when you're holding these longer poses, is to notice where your mind goes and see if you can bring it back to the pose. It's almost like asana is a little easier meditation than just sitting, because there's something to think about. You can think about what your arms are doing, what your legs are doing. A little harder in seated meditation. Also notice that if you're just holding this pose, like the desire is to move your legs hither and thither, or do some variation. So see if you can just stay in this one pose. The advantage of doing the legs hither and thither, different variations, arm variations, legs variations, is that it kind of keeps you focused. It keeps you focused, and
but I think it's also helpful to stay in one pose. If you're in shoulder stand, take your legs over your head, slowly lower down. If you're in bridge with the block, lift your hips up, lower the block to the lowest level, and lower your hips all the way to the back level. And then remove those in bridge, remove the block completely, and be there with your hips on the floor and your knees bent. Roll to your side, lift yourself back up. All right, you can sit straight on the floor. I'm not somebody that can sit straight on the floor for Varichiasana 3. So sit in Dandasana, either on support or not. Be on the edge of the support if you're on support. And then bend your right leg in. Take your left arm around the right leg, take your right hand behind, and turn to the right. So first, keep your head in line with your spine. So don't turn your neck just yet. And see how far you can turn. You can pull on your leg, push in the ground, and turn and turn and turn. Then look to the right and see how far you can turn. If you can turn any more. Then keep your torso where it is and look to the left and see if you can turn any more. And then follow your torso around where your head's pointing and come back to Dandasana. Then bend your left leg. Wrap your right hand around your left leg, take your left hand behind. Lift your chest up and turn. So first, with your head level with your spine or your chest, turn as much as you can. Then look over your left shoulder and see how much turn comes. Then look over your right shoulder and see how much turn comes. And then turn your body where your head's facing and come back to Dandasana. Press your thighs down, lift your chest. Lift your arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Over your legs, Paschimottanasana. Keep your feet together.
Toes pointing straight up. So use your toes even in this pose. If you can spread your toes wider. They might need help. Inhale, lift yourself back up. Lie back for Shavasana. So you can have something under your knees. If you need that. Place a blanket over you. It's a little chilly. Roll your shoulders under. Soften your neck and throat. Release your jaw. Rest your tongue into the base of your mouth. And use the next few moments to focus on your breath. Deepen your breath. Rest your palms on your torso. Bend your knees. Support your head as you roll to your right side. And roll a little further to your right side and lift yourself back up to seated. Take your arms wide, lift your chest. Bring your palms together in front of your heart. Think of something you're grateful for. Namaste.